Okay, so we've now cleaned our prism. Make sure it's nice and cleaned off, no specks of dust, no nothing else, nothing untoward. So let's finish polishing him off. A bit of dust there, don't want that. Hold it up to the light. Perfect. Right, so now we're going to reassemble these. So you will need a bit of patience for this. It isn't the easiest job, but if you like these things as much as I do, I could spend hours doing this. It really doesn't bother me at all. So what we do is that we fit the triangular metal part back to where it was, at the back there. Now, we then, I'm not sure if you can see this if I hold it there, put these prism plates back on. They can only go one way, and that is so that these spigots again, as you saw, face each other. Next, I always find a pair of tweezers is easy for these, or makes life a bit easier. If you put this little retaining bar back on, so that they sit like that. So now this is ready to go back in. Make sure that those are clipped over to the top. You will need gloves for this, as I was saying, because you do not want to put any fingerprints or anything at all back onto the prism. Now, we've loosened off that screw there, so that that will eventually put tension back on to that little bar. So, if you put it so that the triangular part is at the bottom, and obviously the triangular part of the prism cluster is also facing the bottom. Gently match them up, and with a little bit of patience they will fit together like that. Then push that in, down as far as it will go, and that's you. Now, to stop that bar from falling out, because the moment we turn this upright, because we're going to need to put the bar back obviously, that little bar there has a tendency to fall out. So we're going to put a bit of tension on it. Remember, you have that little screw there which secures that longer screw. So what I do is I turn that down, so it's placing a bit of tension. Now, this is where collimation comes in. I'm sure you're aware collimation is just a posh word for not seeing double. When you look through a pair of binoculars, obviously you don't want to look like you've had 4 or 5 pints of vodka. It's not a pleasant experience. So this screw here that places tension on that bar will push this prism backwards and forwards. It actually allows it. It doesn't seem much, it's a 1/10 of a millimetre or 1/2 a millimetre, whatever, but that will affect the collimation. I prefer to collimate these, or this type, rather than, or using the prism rather than using the objective lenses for collimation. So you place a piece of tension on that, or a bit of tension, nothing too bad, like so. Now, because as I say, that's under tension, that won't move. Now place this bar and screw it back together again. I'm not going to need my gloves now, that's that done. It's easier to do this without gloves, as long as I don't touch, obviously, any of the surfaces of the prism itself. So, put that screw back in there. Like so. Keep it loose because the other side needs to go in before you start to tension it down. That's it. That retaining bar will now keep the prism in place. That's it there. Perfect. So final to polish. Now, do you remember me saying at the beginning that you have an indent? I'm not sure if you can see this here, but there's an indent in the outer rim. That corresponds with the little ball bearing or spigot that is located on the outside of the prism housing. I'm not sure if you can see that. That has to go back into there. Otherwise, two things will happen. One, you will not be able to get that back down because this part sits proud and you won't be able to get to the thread to turn it on. Two, collimation will be completely out. So what we do is set it up there like that, line it up, roughly speaking, it hasn't got to be perfect obviously, and then we just jiggle it a little until it finds its position, and it will clip down into it so that it's completely flush. That's almost there now. There it goes. That's it. Now that is flush, as you can see. So now we can put the retaining ring back on. But first, you need to really check for collimation. Now, if it is out, which this is, just slightly out, the easiest way to do it, it does take a bit of patience. But again, as I say, if you like these things, it really doesn't matter how long it takes. Remove this again, unless of course you've got a collimation machine. If anybody has one of those for a gift to me, I would be most appreciative. As I do my collimation by eye, obviously, because those machines are so expensive. So it is slightly out. So what I do is I release that a little, because that allows the prism to come back, just slightly. Now, again, put it in, try it. If you find that it's even worse than it was before, then obviously taking it out is not helping. So you need to go back in. So you can screw it back in gently and slowly, bit by bit. Try it again, take it out. If it's too bad, try it again, put it out, take it in. It is a fiddly job, a very, very fiddly job. But as I say, if you like these things, and you know, patience is sort of there, isn't it? Once you've got collimation and you find that everything is happy and light, everything's grand, and you can see one image and it all joins up, tighten that screw down and that's it. Put it back in and that's it, and then just retain, or put the retaining ring back on nice and tight with the strap, and that's it. That's one side completely done.